Hey there, how there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to yet another Stone Cold Hockey 73-74 WHA video. And guess what? We are done. We're done with the regular season. As we look at the regular season stats, the New England Whalers are the Eastern champs by 2 points over Cleveland, with Quebec and Chicago also winning 40 games and making it through. Whereas Toronto and New Jersey were just crappy. The West, Houston crushed everyone. They were the top team in the championship by regular season points. Winnipeg nipped Edmonton at the line for second, and Minnesota will take fourth. Vancouver and LA are out. Bobby Hall put up 60 goals in the playoffs. In the season for Winnipeg, Mike Walton second, Serge Bernier third. Danny Lawson almost got to 50 goals. He was off by one. Points wise, Shaker Walton won with 129. Gordie Howe gold medal belt. Yeah, insulting Mika Zibanejad. I'm sorry about that. McLeod 116, Brady 114. Best goalie right now is Jerry Cheevers. So anyway, we're down to 8 teams: New England, Chicago, Cleveland, Quebec, Houston, Minnesota, Winnipeg, Edmonton. Houston, the 1973 WHA champs from last year's stuff, and you know how things are with Houston. Yeah, Houston beating the New England Whalers. They were the winners last year in their things to go to the AFCO Cup. So anyway, we're going to simulate through everything until we get to a potential championship. New England versus Chicago, game one, saw New England win at home 5-2. Landon beat Couture, so they go with the unusual goalies. Landon and Couture. Chicago goes by Maverty and Mags. New England goes by Hurley, French, and then Tommy Williams, who was a rarity in the NHL, an American-born NHL player. But remember, this is 1970s. This is not the 2020s. Cleveland beat Quebec La Procassion. King Richard Brodeur taking on Bob Whitten. Quebec goes by Gilbert, Glendon, J.C. Tremblay, and Caron Forder to Jordan West, Eel, and Walker. Gary Jarrett at 207 from Montreal. So Quebec was up 4-2. Winnipeg beat Edmonton 4-3. Wakely beating Jack Norris. Edmonton goes by Lund, and Al Hamilton, wearing number 3. Winnipeg goes by Rousseau, Snell, Bodine, and Pratt. And Houston beats Minnesota 3-2. Curran losing to McLeod. Houston goes by LaBoza, Gurdy, and Ted Taylor. Shaker Walton with 2 goals, so it's Hal versus Walton. Cleveland, Quebec. Game 2 also goes to overtime. Cleveland winning. Brodeur losing the winning. Quebec goes by Parasol Bernier. Erickson and Ron Ward going for Cleveland. Erickson, his second of the night from Jared and Wist at 5:52 on the power play. Desjardins got a minor for spearing. Winnipeg winning 4-1. Daly being Worthy. Perkins scored for Edmonton, but Bordelot with 2 goals, bringing it Oswaldson for the Jets. Houston won on the Procassion. Curran losing McLeod. Connolly, Gallant, and Heatley. Well, Gallant scoring, although he's a penalty-minute eater. Hale, LeBois, and Gordy in the third. And in overtime, Lund from Hughes at 14:42. Like, Chicago beat New England 5-4, so the first road team to win in Chicago. Newton beats Al Smith. New England goes by Harris, Webster, Sheehy, and French. Chicago goes by Linnington, Morris, Paymon, and Gordon. And then in overtime, Sasinski from Stapleton and Hardy. Edmonton wins 4-2 at home. Wilkie beats Daly. Wilkie the hero. Perkins, Baird, Climby, and Harrison for Edmonton. Winnipeg goes by Snell and Bobby Hall, finally scoring a goal. Here's a sniper. Houston crushing Minnesota 8-2, so it looks good for them. McLeod beats Kern. Minnesota goes by Morrison and Walter. Shaker by Hughes, Taylor, one of the Howes. I think it's Mark. I don't know. It could be Marty. Could be Mark. I don't know. Taylor, Hall, Grierson, Sheraton, and Hintz. Houston. New England beat Chicago 5-1. New England wins. Carlander with 3 goals. Plo and French. Play him on. And another game 3. Quebec gets a big win at home 6-2 as Cheevers losing to King Richard Berdeur. Cleveland was up to nothing. Jared and Buchanan. But Bernier, Godet, Leclerc, Godet, Dufour, Caron for the Nords. Houston, did they win the series? They do, 6-2. So first 2 games were close, but McLeod shows McCartan what to do, and Minnesota goes by Christensen and Shaker Walton. Oh, he's got 4 goals. Hintz, Sherritt, Hall, Howell, Hintz, and Hall. They didn't really go to Mark Howell scoring the goals. So Houston wins 6-2 and crushes Minnesota in Minnesota. So the fighting Saints. In the regular season, Garrett 17-17-5. Curran 20-13-3. Jack McCartan was 2-1. But they couldn't. Mike Walton 129 points, all for nothing. Playoff stats, well, Curran 0-3, McCartan 0-1. They didn't use John Garrett at all. I don't know why. Shaker was 6 points. Nevertheless, New England will lose in Chicago, and it's 2-2. Chicago's giving New England fits. Landon losing to Gill. New England goes by Dory, Webster, and Carlander, his fourth. Nesterenko, Sosinski, Sane, Rosie, and Backstrom scoring. Goes 5-3 Chicago. Cleveland beats Quebec 4-1. They now can win at home. Cheevers being Berdeur. Hogans, and for Quebec, Neal, Buchanan, Walker, and Clearwater scoring the goal. Yeah, they were. No, Cheevers was so close to a shutout. Pop sensation. Winnipeg wins in overtime. They go home up 3-1. Wakely beats Worthy. Edmonton was up 2-0. McDonald and Hamilton through 2 periods. Winnipeg scored twice. Spring Horning, Climby, then Snell, and then Snell. And 5:27 for Bodan and Bobby Hall, who decides we're going to pass the puck. Cleveland beats Quebec 5-4. They will move on to the next round. Aubry losing to Chabas. Quebec goes by Bernier, Dufour, Gudin. Cleveland goes by Ron Ward, Pinder, Clearwater, Jarrett, and Clearwater again. Quebec losing in 5 games. The Nordiques. Berdeur 1-3 in the net. Aubry 0-1. The Goys didn't play. Andre Godet 8 points for the Nordiques. Winnipeg will lose at home 7-3, so we go to game 6 in Edmonton. Norris beats Wakely. Winnipeg goes by Huck, Bordelot, and Danny Spring. Climby, Fontaine, Val Fontaine, Mr. Clean, as they call him. Climby with the hat trick, McKenzie, Harrison, and Lund. So Climby finally getting more goals than Shaker Walton. Played 4 games. Oh boy. Game 5, New England beats Chicago 5-3. As Smith beats Newton. Chicago goes by Harris, Duke again, and then Morris. New England goes by Sheehy, Webster, Byers, Terrible Ted, Green, and Byers. Winnipeg, will they win in 6? They do. They beat Edmonton 4-1. Daly beats Norris. Lund scores 4 by Gratton, Huck, Snell, and Swenson scoring for Winnipeg. Edmonton, they used 3 goalies. Jack Norris 1-2. Worthy 0-2. Ian Wilkie 1-0. They should have used Wilkie. He was the guy. No Gary Doyle, but yeah, Wilkie was the guy. Ron Climby 9 points. Jim Harrison had 8. And New England beats Chicago 5-1. Smith beats Newton. Chicago go by Backstrom, no good. Sheehy, Webster, Sheehy, Harrison, Selwood. So the Cougars are out. So all the favorites make it. Cam Newton 1-3, Couture 0-1. Should have given Andre Gill more net. Rosie Paymon 7 points. Joe Hardy 5. So let's take a look at the thing. Ron Climby and Ron Snell both with 5 goals. The points leader right now is climbing with 9, Gary with 8, Gaudette 8, Hens 8, Harrison 8. Ian Wilkie had the best goes against Joe Daly and Don McLeod. Anyway, let's go to the final four. New England, Cleveland, Houston, Winnipeg. Game 1, New England with a shutout. Al Smith doing his job. Blackburn, Byers, and Cheeky Hee scoring. Houston wins 4-3 as McLeod beats Wakely. Winnipeg goes by Bordelot, Bourdon, and Spring. Houston goes by Mark Howe with the hat trick and Sherritt. So Mark Howe's putting on the numbers for the Arrows. Game 2 sees Winnipeg win 6-5 in overtime. Wakely beats McLeod. Houston goes by Gordy, Laboisa, Shura, and Jura with the hat trick. Winnipeg goes by Rousseau, Bobby Hall, Bourdon, Bobby Hall rounds now his sixth. Hornig in overtime from Black and White. Game 2 will be Cleveland crushing New England 5-1. Cheevers beat Smith. Blackburn scored, but Schmier, Heido, Craig, Neal, and West scoring for Cleveland. Game 3, Cleveland wins 4-3 at home. Cheevers beat Smith. New England goes by Byers, Webster, and Byers. Well, it was 3-1. Jarrett by Cleveland, 3 goals in the third period. Jarrett, Erickson, and Pinder with 3 seconds left. New England can't believe it. Game 3, Houston crushes Winnipeg like a grape. McLeod on Daly. Bobby Hall did score his fourth, but Mark Hall has 6. Gordy scored his fourth. Hall, Skella, Laboisa, and then Gordy Hall trying to tell Bobby Hall, I'm the better of the original 6 icons. Sure. Game 4 sees Houston beat Winnipeg again 4-1. McLeod doing his job against Wakely. Bordelot scored, but Taylor, Laboisa, Howell, and Mark Howell and Sherritt scoring for Houston, trying to go back to the finals. New England beat Cleveland 5-2 to take it home ice back home. Smith beats Cheevers. Cleveland goes by Ron Walker and Pinder. New England goes by Plow, Carlander, Dory, French, and then Earl finally scoring a goal. Game 5 sees Cleveland win 3-2 as Cheevers beats Landon. Cleveland has a chance to go to the finals. New England goes by Harris with 2. Erickson, Ron Ward getting his third, and then Ador his first. So Cleveland looks good. And Houston beats Winnipeg, giving up 1 goal again. So McLeod remembers who he was. Winnipeg goal by Bobby Hall is 5th. Hintz, Hughes, and Hall for Houston. But yeah, Houston goes back to the finals without a whimper. Winnipeg out. Wakely 3-3. Daly 2-3. Bobby Hall had 11 points. Huck and Baudin with 10. Bobby had 5 goals. Well, Houston 4-0-4-1. Don McLeod's played all the games. No Rutledge, no Graham. No problem. Andre Hintz with 14 points. Mark Howe with 14. Gordy with 12. Marty has 2 points, but they're all assists. Both assists. I should say. Cleveland, do they shock the world? No, they don't. New England wins 6-2 as Smith beats Cheevers. Cleveland goes by Erickson with 2 for 6. Harris, French, Sheehy, Byers again, and Cunniff scoring for the Whale. Could the Whale win Game 7? So we're going to... Should we play Game 7? No. Yeah, we're going to play Game 7 of New England, Cleveland. It will be Whitten versus Smith. Somehow Cheevers did not want to play. Something seems off. 3 minutes into the game, aggression. It's Harris. Cleveland scores. Power play goal. Pinder has 4 from Ward and Clearwater. It makes it 1-0 Cleveland. 2 minutes later, no shot. 4 more minutes. Pardon my French. It goes to 7 from Jordan Harlander. Makes it 1-1. And then, nothing. Harlander. Tommy Williams and Larry Fowl. 2-1. face Houston for the second straight year. Houston turns Cleveland with the penalty. It's Pumpo loose. Tucker incredibly cool. And on Thomas Webster, the 6 from Blackwood and Harris. The 3-1 New England. Cleveland? No. New England looking set to send Cleveland home and face Houston again. Whalers Arrows. 4 more minutes. Aggression. Cleveland. Power play, no shot from Harris. So swat. His second of the night, his 8th from Plow and Webster, 4-1. Cleveland's in deep trouble. Yep, John Connor hits the 5-1 from Blackburn and Charles. That Cheever's in the match. Looks like they're going to win Game 7. The major on Cleveland's list. Well, he's just lost the plot, Jigs. And Tommy Williams always say, and you see, hey, this goal, second to Harlan Green 6-1 Whalers. This game's practically over. And here's Hudson Harris with 6 to Harlan and Blackburn. Mike Byers is 18 French. It's 18-1. 30 from here. Quick wait. Jarrett to 7 from Hillman and Walker. It's basically game, set, match, but it's 8-2 New England, scoring 5 goals in the third period. They're up 3-1 now. They're 8-1, and Jared made 8-2. How did Cleveland become 1 win away from the finals? Cleveland will get penalized. Walker. Anything to try to ruin them. Tom Webster couldn't get his second of the night. More time. Just kill the clock. John French tried for his hat trick. No. Hat trick. This will be it. And New England gets handled by Sheehy. Nobody in the third period like they needed it. And Al Smith and the Whalers went 8-2. Cleveland scored the first goal of the game, and yet they got their asses whipped. They scored the first goal and the last goal of the game, but gave up 8 in between. So Houston, New England. So Cleveland, Cheevers 5-4, Whitten 2-1. Well, they wanted the magic touch. Jared 13 points, Erickson 11, Script 9. New England, they've had to go through a 6 and a 7. Smith 7-3, Landon 1-2. Hugh Husky Harris with 17 points. While the goal-scoring French and Byers have 8, they lead. Markel has 7. Points-wise, Hugh Harris, John French, Al Carlander, Andre Hansen, Markel all have the lead. So Hugh Harris, never heard of this guy, but yeah. That's weird how Daly's 2-3, but he has a better goals against than Gary Cheevers. Well, Cheevers didn't do any favors. Houston, New England, game 1. Sees New England go to Houston and shut them out. Al Smith, you have another fine performance. Blackburn, Tommy Williams, and Husky Harris. Game 2 sees Houston on prolongation. McLeod over Smith. And this time New England doesn't take a 3-0 seriously. Houston goes by Markel, and Hughes in regulation. New England goes by Dory, Sheehan, and Byers. Gordie Howe his 6 from Hall and Pukil, telling Houston we're going to repeat as champs. Game 3 sees Houston win 4-1 as McLeod beat Smith. Carlander did score to break the shutout up, but Lobois, Lund, and Skella for Houston. Game 4 sees Houston crush New England like a grape 6-2. McLeod beats Landon and looks good for Houston. Well, they had a lot of rest. They only lost once in 2 rounds. New England goes by Plow and Williams, but Houston goes by Hall, Skella, Gordy, Mark, and Hal again. The Howls are just crushing it. 4 goals in this game. They're like, no fair. Why did they pick Houston? New England wins in overtime. Popiel scored for Houston. Husky Harris made 1-1 in at 2:21 French from Webster and Blackburn. Not over. Game 6. Now it's over. Houston wins 5-4. Tommy Williams. Tommy Harrison, Tommy Williams. Tommy Williams with a hat trick. Houston goes by Papel, Sherritt, Mark Taylor, and Gordie Howe is your hero. And the Houston Aeros win once again, but this time in 6 games. And England didn't choke this time. They didn't need to. Houston wins. The AFCO Cup goes to the Houston Aeros again. New England had no chance. They lost again. Houston doing their job. 6, 7, 6. Elspeth 9 and 6. Bruce Landon drops to 1 and 3. Hugh Harris 20 points. Tommy Williams 18. The kidney, the Americano. Houston, John McLeod 12 and 3. 2-3-2 goals against. Gordy with 21 points. Mark Howe with 20 points. So basically, the Howes knew what to do. Marty Howe, youngster, he got 2 points. But Mark with 12 goals. Gordy with 9. 21 goals scored by the Houston um, Arrows were by Mark or Gordy Howe. So they didn't really need the Howes. They just needed something. Well, and there's your champion. The Houston Aeros. Well, they won 50 games in the regular season. Mark Howe, the only guy to hit double digits in goals in the playoffs. He didn't win the point scoring. Gordy with 21 did the job, won this goal scoring. Husky Harris at 20. Don McLeod, Al Smith, just doing what they can to do what they do. McLeod Smith had a pair of shutouts, but Don McLeod stayed tall, and the Houston Aeros for the second consecutive year win the WHA thing. So that's all we've got. Next year, we will be looking at the 74-75 NHL season. There is one more WHA season, but that is actually going to be waiting for a few more years. Anyhow, I'm Jeff Diamond. Adieu.